You've probably only got 1 year left to take the LSAT with the current logic games section, and we don't really know what's coming next. Hey, what's up everybody? Steve Schwartz here from LSAT Unplugged, joining you today to share what's going on with the logic games section and what may change a year from now. Before I get into it, please do me a favor, like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It really helps with that YouTube algorithm, and I really do appreciate it. So the reason I'm making this video is that every day now I'm getting questions from students. Will logic games still be on the test later this year, in September, October, what have you? What's happening? When's the logic games section going to change? Are they removing it entirely? How should I prep for the LSAT going forward? So I'm here to answer all your questions. The good news for you is that as we speak right now in mid-2023, logic games will still be on the test for the foreseeable future in the remainder of this testing cycle. Coming up just this year alone, you have the LSAT in August, September, October, and November. And LSAT has confirmed they will give you plenty of notice before making any radical changes to the exam, and they will release sample questions reflecting what the new test format might look like. Now, currently, as we stand, we have one scored section of logic games, one scored section of logical reasoning, and one scored section of reading comprehension. These are the three scored sections of the LSAT. The logic games section is the same as it's been since June 1991, over 30 years ago. LSAT moves slowly and deliberately. When they make a change to the logic games section, they will test it out a lot. And they've tested it already, actually. They tested out new logic games style questions in June 2022, November 2022, and then they had a field study in December 2022. Now, you might be asking, why is LSAT changing the logic games section overall if it's worked so well for so long? Let me backtrack. Back in the fall of 2019, LSAT settled a lawsuit with a blind test taker, Angelo Bino, who had sued LSAT, contending that he was at an unfair disadvantage on the LSAT because he could not benefit from diagramming logic games the same way that most test takers can, which is a pretty fair point if you think about it, considering just how beneficial diagrams are in solving the logic games section. I know that I certainly could not do well in logic games without the ability to diagram. Give it a shot. You may find it's not so easy for you either. LSAT settled the lawsuit in the fall of 2019 and agreed to complete research and development into a new version of the test without the current logic games section within the next 4 years. They committed to complete that research and development by the fall of 2023, 4 years later. We're almost there, and we've already seen them taking action on this. As part of their settlement agreement with Angelo Bino, they agreed that they would enable all test takers to take a new version of the test without the current logic games section. So they must complete the R&D by the fall of 2023. We can expect that any major changes LSAT makes to the exam will start in July, since that is the beginning of the new testing year. When LSAT added the dual comparative reading comprehension passages, they added those in June 2007 because that was the beginning of the testing year back at that time. And for that comparative reading section, they also gave plenty of notice several months in advance, along with sample questions showing you what those new dual comparative passages would be like so that you could prepare accordingly. So I do expect that sometime in the next, let's say, 6 to 7 months, LSAT will release sample questions showing us what the new logic games replacement questions will look like so that students can prepare accordingly. Having heard anecdotal reports from those experimental sections that were administered back in June and November and then the December field study last year, I do expect that all those old logic games from Prep Test 1 all the way up to Prep Test 93 will still be useful prep material. However, the new logic games replacement questions will, of course, be different in some way. Most likely, they will be easier to solve without scratch paper, without diagramming. And so if you want to benefit from all of those 93 numbered exams that have been released up to this point, and if you want to benefit from all the prep materials released by my company and others to help you study for logic games and prepare accordingly, I would strongly recommend you take the LSAT now before the logic games section changes. If you're watching this video now, you've still got plenty of time to prep for the current logic games section and the current LSAT format. You've got, again, the August, September, October, and November LSATs, as well as all the LSATs administered in the first half of 2024 coming up. Plenty of time to knock it out of the park and get it done, but I do highly recommend you take the LSAT and be done with it now before the format changes, because once it does, there will be a couple of questions released by LSAT, but it won't be nearly as much material as you have from the nearly 400 released logic games in the nearly 100 released LSAT prep tests that you can use to help you get ready for the exam. So bottom line, get it done now before the test format changes, which I expect will happen approximately 1 year from now. So again, folks, I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It really helps, and I really do appreciate it. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.